Season 2 is here, so what are you going to be playing? I think I'm going to be playing Rogue, maybe Necro.
With Diablo 4 Season 2 being in 2 days, the most common question right now is, what class should I play? So in this video, I'm going to give you a reason to play each and every class that will hopefully help your decision going into Season 2. And with that being said, we're going to start with the very first one. We're going to go down the list here with Barbarian. Now, shout out to Rob, the Barbarian God, for explaining to me how good that Whirlwind Bleed is supposed to be for Barbarian for Season 2. And if you look at this right here, Berserking is now multiplicative instead of an additive bonus. And as you scroll down, you're going to be seeing there are other Paragon bonuses relating to bleeding damage is increased by a total amount of damage to vulnerable enemy bonus. You can still stack that vulnerable and actually get multiplicative damage out of that, even while you are capped on vulnerability. Now the damage bucket changes. Look at Blood Brains. Your damage dealt is increased by 25% X of the total amount of damage while Berserking bonus. And we already know from scrolling from the top, Berserking is now multiplicative, and you also get Berserking while you're Whirlwind, aka Whirlwind Bleed. Looks like it's going to be a pretty good combination. So if you want
okay, so Barbarian in short is still the class that you play if you want to be a brainlet. Got it. Nothing against you, Barbarian players, but you know, you're playing a fantasy game and you're gonna play a Barbarian? I have questions, mostly about your upbringing and mental state.
To spin to win, Barbarian might be your ticket. Druid is one that for me made me want to play Druid, because with the overpower changes, in which overpower is basically getting more and more effective, what we actually have here with Druid is a reason to play a Werebear overpower build. It wasn't bad before, might be a little bit better now. Now we do get a nerf as a Druid to Rampaging Werebeast to 200% from the cap of 999 effectively if you're able to stack it up all that way, but we do get other changes that will benefit Druid heavily. Fortify being based upon maximum life, for instance, also gives us another reason to build more max HP. There's also a really interesting change here, Nature's Fury. Okay, and then we already knew you had the 30% chance to trigger a free storm skill, same category, vice versa when you use Nature Fury. But now it says these free skills count as both Earth and Storm skills, meaning it's going to take advantage of other Earth and Storm skill bonuses. And if we scroll down here to the bottom to the Paragon bonus changes, you're going to notice that now Earth and Destruction, Earth skills deal increased multiplicative damage. Critical strike damage increased by 25% of the amount of your bonus to crowd control damage. And we can apply slow with Pulverize, for instance, by that one Earth slow aspect. But then also, if you look at Thunderstruck here, Storm skills deal bonus damage equal to 50% of the total amount of your damage to close damage distant bonuses. So effectively, you can actually get the bonuses
50%, so in reality this is on average I think like roughly a 20 to 40% damage increase. Okay, that's not bad.
Of both of these multiplicative, man, I always struggle with this word, damage bonus types within the same skill from Nature's Fury. So I could actually say Nature's Fury being pretty decent of a build as well. The older builds will still work, but Rampaging Werebeast being nerfed is going to hurt a little bit for Tornado Druid, but there seems to be a pretty good variety of Druid builds, and all of them, I bet, would be pretty good coming into Season 2. So if you're in...
Yeah, the Druid builds are kind of in a okay position. They're also going to buff Familiars, I guess.
Interested in Overpower, Nature's Fury, or some of the older builds like Werewolf Tornado, there's still a reason to play Druid. I actually think they're going to be one of the strongest. Also, this new unique, casting a boulder while Hurricane is active will cause boulders to rotate around you that they showcased already. Looks really fun.
It looks really fun, but man, Blizzard already did this Season 1 with Sorceress and the Ball Lightning. The reality is, the Ball Lightning hit radius is so unbelievably small, and the speed that it slowly goes around you is so unbelievably shit. I don't think that rolling boulder is going to feel any different from that. Again, Blizzard devs should probably try to play their games, because to understand that the Ball Lightning orbiting around you was an absolute waste of development time and oxygen the way that it currently exists was visible in the first literal millisecond that you first used it. And no one at Blizzard did. So I'm afraid that the rolling boulder thing is going to be the exact same thing.
I'm sure a lot of people are going to be playing just for that, and I bet that would pair pretty well with the Nature's Fury changes. Now, necromancers, I could give you a ton of reasons I feel like would be a fun reason to play them. And I want to start with one that's probably not like a meta change or anything, but I actually find very exciting, which is that the skeleton warriors inherit thorns, skeleton mages, golem inherit thorns. All of these affixes are now just one, which is minions inherit thorns, meaning you can stack this minions inherit thorns on multiple pieces of gear and get, ramping boys who can get even more thorns on all of your minions. Now, this isn't probably going to be the best build in the world, but if you're...
I never even considered the minion thorn build. It just seems like a waste of oxygen, honestly.
Interested in running a thorns minion build, that build actually got a lot better. However, necromancers are also getting tankier, considering that armor is going to be added to shields as well, and we have cooldown reduction appearing on shields. And keep in mind, it's an intelligence-based class, meaning building intelligence gives you more damage, but also increases your resistances, and resistances now do something. There's also changes around the blood orbs. If we scroll down here, you can see what they've done with the blood orbs. Look at Rathma's Vigor. After being healthy for 12 seconds, your next blood skill, overpowers. This timer is reduced by 2 seconds each time you pick up a blood orb, and it either heals or overheals you for an amount greater than or equal to your base life. And since this heal is based upon max life now, and max life is on a few more of the items, you're going to be...
That's incredibly... easy to do, because there's a talent point in the blood pact skills of the necro, which boosts the amount of blood orb heals by a total of 45%. So that's not going to be hard to get, honestly.
Receiving this more often, making your overpowers more common. This pairs with transfusion, where you have a lucky hit. Your blood skills have a chance to spawn a blood orb. It can only occur once every 4 seconds, and the chance is doubled against bosses.
That sucks. In reality, the easiest way to spawn blood orbs, if you want, is the basic skill. The one that, heals you and does stuff. Yeah, that one. That's ridiculously good for blood orb generation, but will it matter that much? I don't know, Chief.
Again, giving you some synergy. So we got kind of a fun thorn build you could do. We obviously have some blood overpower that was good before. Looks like it's going to be even better now. And then look at the changes to minions. If you're a minion person, you're going to like this. These are basically buffs all across the board. In fact, Golem is interesting to me.
Skirmisher base damage increased from no one cares to no one cares. Defender base damage increased from no one cares to no one cares. Golem base damage increased by 100%. That actually matters. Well, actually, you know what? No, it doesn't. The only part of the golem that matters is the activated ability. So I guess this is pretty good, but it's still incredibly niche and sad. But for example, this doesn't matter. For any necromancer build, the only thing that you care about, if you're gonna use minions in anything but the amulet that allows you to cast a mini blood nova around your minions, you're not going to care about their base damage. You care about their attack speed. Attack speed is so much more valuable on summons than the base damage. Maybe on skeleton mages it technically maybe works, but I'm not sure about that one. But on the basic skeleton warriors, nah, attack speed is king. Damage increase, you can increase it by 300%. I don't care. Because the only damage that they deal is the Shadow Plague damage, and that thing scales with attack speed. Way more than damage.
Basic attack damage increased by 100%. They effectively doubled the damage of the golem.
Yeah, but
that's
because still
of all
weak,
of the
though.
Paragon changes, as well as the fact that Death's Defense, aka the ability to one-shot minions, is no longer a thing, being added in passively to all minions in the game, Druid companions as well, they mentioned. This means that minions are even better going into Season 2. So we have a good variety of build. We have blood build, we have minion build, we have thorn build, but there's also what looks like a dot shadow based build. Shadow Blight is now every 10th time an enemy receives shadow damage from you and your minions while they're affected by Shadow Blight, they take an additional 22% shadow damage as before, but Shadow Blight's damage is increased by 100% X of your shadow damage over time bonus. So now you can effectively build shadow damage over time, have your minions proc this.
I like that, bruh. I'm gonna go for my homing corpse explosion build with the shadow thing. Oh, that's gonna be pretty good. That's gonna be pretty wild.
There's also vampiric curses
I
in
like
season 2
it.
that look quite good for this. You do a 60% increased damage over time to enemies that are moving or affected by vampiric curse, but you can also apply vampiric curse as well by using your minions. So you could apply the curse and then have the damage over time be procced from this. So it seems like there's multiple types of builds you could do with the Necromancer at the moment. It's the one.
Yeah, again, I played Necromancer when the game came out, and then already the Hidden Sleeper OP build was Blood Mist plus Decrep. Decrep with the unlucky hit chance to reduce the cooldown of your stuff, and then the Blood Mist with the thing with the legendary affix that leaves a trail behind that deals dot damage, and Blood Mist attacks like 10 times a second. So with enough lucky hit chance, you were pretty much constantly invulnerable in Blood Mist form. Combine that, you can also, by the way, you could also combine that easily with homing corpse explosions, minions, and Blood Surge, or a Bone Storm, depends on what you want. But Blood Surge was actually a decent option because it had a super low cooldown, while Bone Storm was literally always active if you were playing Blood Mist. It was kind of sleeper. It was really fun to play.
Towards the most. And that takes us to the Rogue. So I'm going to make the Rogue really simple. The reason to play the Rogue in Season 2 is the same reason you would play the Rogue in Season 1 and you would play it in the Eternal Realm. It is a well-constructed class with great movement abilities, with multiple builds that are viable, with damage numbers that are good. Yes,
okay.
Survivability can be a little bit of an issue, but it is a fun-to-play class with smooth movement, smooth combat. Everything seems to make sense in terms of the actual abilities, and it is enjoyable to play. There are some changes in terms of numbers. You can look through it here. However, in my opinion, I don't really see this, and this could be my lack of knowledge on Rogue, admittedly, but I don't actually see this changing the fact that Rogue is still really, really, really insanely
Let's
good.
hope.
I mean, stuff like this: enhanced smoke grenade damage taken increased from 20% to 25%, duration from 6 to 7 seconds.
Wow.
Even in Blizzard's own live stream, they said they didn't touch Rogue that much because they thought it was in a good enough state. So we could go through and we could pick apart each one of these changes, but the reality is I legitimately think Rogue was good before. It's good now. If you liked what the Rogue was, you're going to like what the Rogue is. And that's pretty much going to be your Season 2 Rogue. It is going to be a consistent, reliable, good class all the way around that feels good to play and does good damage. Out of all of the classes affected by Season 2, I think Rogue's the one that's been affected the least, at least as far as I can tell. Most of the damage number changes don't seem absolutely massive, and I don't see any core fundamental changes around this. Vampire powers might mix it up a little bit, but the Rogue is still the Rogue, baby. So if you liked what it was, you like what it is. Now, Sorcerer is an interesting topic, because if you remember Season 1 in Eternal Realm, the biggest complaint about Sorcerer, it's how squishy they are. Remember the meme of everyone running 4 defensives just to stay alive, as well as resistances do literally nothing, and resistances would be important on Sorcerer. It's intelligence-based class, so your main stat doesn't really give you any defensive properties. So there was sort of the meme on the Sorcerer, which is that you play a Sorcerer, you die. They also didn't seem to be like the best class in
I don't know if that's a meme, Chief.
The game in terms of damage output either. It seemed like by the time you got to the end game, there were other classes that were doing things.
True, but there was that sorcerers that used Blizzard of all things to actually just one-shot Lilith. But admittedly, Blizzard is a complete trash spell to try and level with. It's absolute pain town if you want to do that. Again, Sorceress's biggest problem is that the only viable way to play the game is with ice shards. Anything other than ice shards is going to feel 50 trillion times worse than ice shards. It is what it is.
However, I say however, going into Season 2, intelligence actually adds resistances, and now resistances actually do something. Intelligence added resistances before, but they didn't do anything before. So now the Sorcerer might have a little bit of an opportunity to shine here. We might have some of the defensive properties before. So if you actually quite liked the Sorcerer prior to Season 2, but you felt squishy, you were scared.
Dude, look at this shit. Freezing Orb. Threshold for bonus damage reduced from 50 to 40 mana. Okay, that's fine. That's cool. Maximum distance reduced from 6 to 4. That's stupid. Okay? Why can't... Frozen Orb could be an actual viable skill if Blizzard just did the only thing that we wanted done. Okay? And that is, how about Frozen Orb just explodes where you aim at? Imagine that. Imagine how instantaneously viable Frozen Orb would be. Because the weakness of Frozen Orb is the fact that it deals 0 damage. Unless it explodes on your enemy. And then it even doesn't deal enough damage, honestly. But yeah, the explosion is the only part that deals damage. And it's really shitty to aim it in, well, virtually every and all situations. That's why no one wants to play Frozen Orb. Just Blizzard, just let it explode where I'm aiming at. If I'm here and click it here, let it explode here, not 15 screens past me. Okay? Shit's insane. By the way, you know how good that change would be? Because if you have the enchantment on Sorceress that has a chance to cast Frozen Orb when you attack, that Frozen Orb actually hones in on a target and explodes 100% on them. And then you see how fucking amazing that thing can be. How great it can feel. And yeah, when your lucky hit proc of casting Frozen Orb is 10 times stronger and better than actually leveling Frozen Orb, you know you have done something wrong. Blizzard, it's such an easy fix.
Playing the class. Now with resistances actually working, you have a reason to either try Sorcerer for the first time or to give it a secondary try if you were feeling too squishy. There's also a pretty good amount of buffs in here. I mean, for instance, just the first one, this was the old version. Critical strike with Firebow increase your burning damage by 20% for 4 seconds, but now Firebow just straight up increases burning damage by 25% for 3 seconds. So
wow, no one's gonna use this. No one's gonna use this. This is a useless buff.
Doesn't require a crit anymore. Burning damage increase. As you go down here, you're going to see basically nothing but buffs across the board in terms of different elements. I mean, we have for enhanced Frozen Orb giving a little bit of a buff here. 45% X against elites for a buff from Frozen Orb as well. Hydra, this is the one people keep talking about, which is Hydra goes from 12 to 60%. But
that's
as you go to the
insane.
Paragon board, you're going to notice that they really seem to like this whole stacking bonus damage with your elements. So, for instance, Searing Heat Legendary Node, your fire skills...
I mean, I like the idea that they're going to do that because this is just another way to play Sorceress, and that's cool. But, bruh.
Critical strike chance increased by 10%, and their direct damage is increased by an amount equal to X 10% of the total amount of bonus damage with fire up to a maximum of 30%.
Oh, it's a maximum of 30%? Sounds weak in that case. Wow.
Conjuration's got something interesting as well, and with the Hydra changes, maybe Hydra will actually do something here. They deal bonus damage equal to 3% X total amount of bonus damage with Cold Fire and Lightning. So effectively, this is mirrored throughout the Paragon board. You're going to see an increase of damage across your Paragon board anytime you're stacking bonus damages towards your element. So if you like the element...
Conjuration also is such a cool thing that's so easy to fix, by the way, Blizzard. All you need to do is just lower the cooldowns. Just lower the cooldowns of the Conjuration shit. It would actually be really fun to play Conjuration with Sorceress if you just lowered the cooldowns. Because the current way Conjuration works is like, okay, I press my summons. Okay, the summons have ended. Even if everything on the screen is dead, which is, by the way, extremely doubtful, even if it's just basic mobs, your conjurations are also gone. And you're not gonna wait 15 seconds for the next for your cooldowns to be back up for the next pack, okay? And that's the shittiest part of Conjuration. It's just the cooldown is so ridiculous. And you know what? I'm fine with the long cooldown, but if the Conjurations stay active for a longer time. Again, playing Conjurations would be super cool in my opinion, but the cooldowns are just... just completely garbage. And again, if they followed you around like a pet build, similar to the Necromancer, that also would be awesome, but that's not happening for some reason. The worst part about Sorceress, it's such easy fixes to make the class fun, viable, and playable. And yet Blizzard is completely missing the ball on this.
Mental theme of sorcerers before. You like trying to play like a frost mage, lightning mage, fire mage, but you were always worried about dying because of the resistance issue. Season 2 is your time to play this. Hello, kitty cat. The reality is, though, out of the seasons in the Eternal Realm we have, I actually feel like there's a reason to play each and every one of these classes. Admittedly, I'm probably the most excited by Necromancer this season.
Well, yeah, the reason everyone is most excited about Necromancer is because it's just the best class, honestly. It has the most viable things, it has the most fun things, it looks the best, it feels good.
But it does seem like all of the seasons at least have something going for them, and I don't feel like you would be an idiot to play any of these classes right now. You really can try something new if you want. But if you really want someone to pick for you, my top 2 are Necromancer and Druid. Those are the ones I'm most excited.
Honestly, yeah, from everything, I'm gonna play Rogue because I haven't played it. But Necromancer and Druid are just good classes, and obviously playing them is not gonna be a mistake. It's at least gonna be fun for a while. Anyway, that was our boy Skittles, also slightly known as DM. Dark microtransactions. It is what it is. Good video. Anyway, this was Quizzer Sensei. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.